The box was too expensive to be innocent. Dark blue velvet, gold trim. My son's name engraved in precise Cyrillic. I watched the man kneel beside my boy and hand it over. "Open it," he said softly. My wife didn't look at me. She was watching him. Inside the box were 2 first-class tickets to Moscow. Departure in December. A handwritten note. For our future adventures. The room clapped. Children screamed. Balloons trembled against the ceiling. I stood still. My son looked confused. He was 8. He thought Moscow was a cartoon villain. I looked at the man again. Tall, controlled smile. Expensive watch. The kind of calm that comes from knowing something you shouldn't. My wife finally met my eyes. There it was. Not guilt, calculation. Then my phone vibrated in my pocket. A message from her, "Don't make a scene." I didn't. I never do. Infidelity is rarely discovered in bed. It's discovered in glances, in synchronized breathing, in the way 2 people stand slightly too close. I replayed the party in my mind that night. The way she laughed at his whispers. The way he carried my son like he belonged to him. My son has my eyes. At least that's what I've always told myself. Later, after the guests left, she said it casually. "He's just a business associate. Relax." Business associates don't engrave children's names in foreign alphabets. They don't give tickets for future adventures. They don't look at your wife like they've already undressed her in a city you've never seen. I didn't accuse her. I didn't raise my voice. I poured her wine. I kissed her forehead. I told her the party was beautiful. Inside, something shifted. Not heartbreak, inventory. 3 weeks earlier, she'd asked about my father's estate documents. Subtle questions about inheritance timelines, legal guardianship clauses, international travel permissions. At the time, I'd admired her planning. Now it rearranged itself into something else. A design. The Moscow tickets weren't a gift. They were a rehearsal. And I was not invited. I began quietly. Phone records first? Not hers, his. A private investigator I once helped financially returned the favor without asking questions. Calls at midnight. Encrypted messaging apps. A hotel suite booked under a shell company. Photos arrived 3 days later. They were careful, but not careful enough. There is a particular intimacy in shared silence between 2 adulterers. A look that says, "Soon." I kept smiling at breakfast. I helped my son with homework. I asked her about Thanksgiving plans. That's when the second insult arrived. My daughter-in-law, my older son's wife, called to inform me that if I wanted to attend Thanksgiving dinner, I could come early and wash dishes. Her tone wasn't playful. It was entitled. She assumed I needed them. She assumed I had nowhere else to go. I said one word. "Enjoy." Then I posted photos of my villa in Switzerland. White marble floors, lake view, fireplace lit against the Alps. I didn't caption it. I didn't need to. My phone rang 71 times that night. From her, from my son, from relatives who suddenly remembered my existence. I let it vibrate. Meanwhile, the investigator confirmed something colder, a drafted legal document. My wife had met with an attorney. In the draft, relocation to Moscow. Primary custody request. Claims of emotional neglect. Financial control. She was building a narrative. One where I would look unstable. One where my father's fortune would be managed on behalf of my son. By her. And perhaps eventually by the man with the engraved box. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I made one phone call. To my father. He listened without interrupting. Then he said only this. "Send me everything." The DNA results arrived on a Tuesday. I opened the envelope alone in my study. My hands did not shake. Probability of paternity, 99.98%. He is mine. That hurt more than if he hadn't been. Because this wasn't about deception of blood. It was about strategy. She wasn't replacing me biologically. She was replacing me financially. That evening, she found a folder on the dining table. Inside, copies of her drafted custody plan, photos from the hotel, phone logs, the investigator's summary. No explanation. Just evidence. She flipped through it. Her face drained. "You hired someone?" She whispered. I nodded. Silence filled the room like smoke. The man with the tickets began calling her phone repeatedly. I could see his name flash across the screen. She didn't answer. For the first time since the party, she looked afraid. "You misunderstood," she said. I didn't respond. I simply slid one more document across the table. A revised will, Signed that afternoon. My father had removed her entirely from any position of financial oversight. Trust structures rewritten. Assets secured offshore. Guardianship contingencies airtight. If she left with my son, she would leave with nothing but court battles she couldn't afford. She stared at the signature, then at me. You told him? Yes. The man came to the house 2 days later, uninvited. He wanted to talk like adults. I let him in. I handed him the same folder. He skimmed it. His confidence cracked at the edges. You can't prove. I don't need to, I interrupted. No anger, no raised voice, just fact. My father's legal team will contact your employer regarding misuse of company, funds for personal travel gifts. His jaw tightened. The tickets, I continued, were purchased through a subsidiary account, Sloppy. My wife looked at him like he had just betrayed her. Interesting how betrayal tastes different when you're the one swallowing it. I didn't threaten him. I didn't shout. I simply informed him that every financial irregularity would be examined if he remained in contact with my family. He left without saying goodbye. That night, my wife packed a suitcase. She expected me to beg. I didn't. Instead, I transferred a modest monthly allowance into a separate account, clearly labeled as temporary. Until the divorce is finalized, I said. She flinched at the word. You're ruining everything, she whispered. No, I replied. I'm correcting it. Thanksgiving came and went. I spent it in Switzerland. Snow fell softly over the lake. My phone rang again. Not 71 times this time. Just once. My daughter-in-law. Her voice was softer. Careful. I declined the call. People reveal themselves when they think you're powerless. They become polite when they realize you're not. My wife now lives in a smaller apartment across the city. The Moscow tickets were refunded quietly. The man resigned from his position 2 weeks later. My son still calls me every night. He asks about the snow. I answer calmly. I do not speak of betrayal. I speak of mountains. Control is not loud. It is patient. And when it finally moves, it does not miss.